You grew up watching your favorite cartoons, laughing at the jokes, mimicking the characters. But what if I told you that what you saw wasn't the real version? Behind the sanitized scenes censors deemed safe for children lies a darker, raw, and utterly shocking truth that networks desperately tried to hide from you. Starting at number 10, we have Naruto, where Cartoon Network decided ninja battles shouldn't have any consequences. The original featured intense fight scenes with blood, stab wounds, and visible injuries showing the brutal reality of shinobi combat. But in the Toonami version, all blood was digitally removed or recolored to look like sweat or shadows. When Sasuke was impaled with multiple kunai during the Zabuza arc, the blood vanishing made it look like he was just mildly inconvenienced. Haku's death scene was edited so heavily that younger viewers couldn't understand what happened. Certain episodes were banned entirely, including episode 101, where characters were shown bleeding severely. Sexy jutsu scenes were censored with more fog and strategic camera angles. Any references to death or killing were changed to defeating enemies. The most ridiculous edit involved replacing kunai knives with what looked like lunchboxes. American audiences had no idea they were seeing a sanitized version where the violence that defined the ninja world was airbrushed into non-existence. At number 9, we dive into Yu-Gi-Oh! And the network's fear of death created one of anime's most memed censorship fails. In the original Japanese version, duel monsters had real stakes. Losers died, were killed, or suffered serious psychological trauma. Merrick literally sent people to hell. But 4Kids couldn't show death to American kids, so they invented the Shadow Realm, a mysterious purple void where defeated duelists are sent instead of dying. Guns became dark energy discs. Torture devices became mind scan machines. Characters who were explicitly killed were instead banished to the Shadow Realm, creating bizarre plot holes. Yugi's grandfather didn't nearly die from a heart attack. He was just really tired. The absurdity peaked when characters pointed finger guns at each other because actual firearms were edited out. Religious imagery, including crosses and pentagrams, was removed or altered. What was originally a darker, more mature card game anime became a Saturday morning cartoon where the worst thing that could happen was getting sent to purple timeout. Number 8 brings us Tokyo Ghoul, and censorship so extreme it became unwatchable. This dark horror anime about humans being hunted by flesh-eating ghouls faced strict violence regulations even in Japan. The version that aired on Tokyo MX had entire scenes completely blacked out or obscured by darkness. When Kaneki stabbed Nishio in a critical early fight, the colors inverted to negative filter, making the scene look like a glitching television. Gore scenes were covered with massive black, shadows, or bars. During intense battle sequences, the screen would go almost entirely dark, leaving viewers staring at black screens with sound effects, trying to piece together what was happening. The censorship was so heavy that fans had to wait for the uncut Blu-ray releases to actually see what they'd been watching. This wasn't just editing. This was the animation equivalent of covering your eyes during a scary movie, except the animators were forced to do it for you. Taking number 7 is Attack on Titan and the impossible task of censoring body horror. The entire premise revolves around giant humanoid titans eating humans in grotesque, disturbing ways. The Japanese broadcast version attempted to tone down the gore with strategic camera angles and darkness filters, creating an awkward viewing experience. When titans bit people in half, dark shadows obscured the bodies, making the action difficult to follow. Blood was reduced in color saturation or removed entirely. The most disturbing Titan kills had the gore covered by conveniently placed foreground objects or black bars. Germany initially edited violent scenes before realizing the show's core audience wanted the uncut version. Some Middle Eastern countries banned the show entirely for excessive violence. Streaming platforms offered different versions. The simulcast had censorship bars, while later uncensored versions removed them. The problem was that Attack on Titan's horror comes from its visceral brutality. Censoring the violence defeated the purpose of the show's anti-war message. At number 6, we encounter Sailor Moon and the LGBTQ+ erasure that became legendary terrible localization. In the original Japanese version, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus are lovers, an openly lesbian couple whose romance is central to their character development. But in the 1990s, American networks weren't ready for that. DIC Entertainment's solution was somehow worse than censorship. They claimed the two women were cousins. Cousins who hold hands romantically, cousins who blush around each other. Cousins who have deep emotional moments that look suspiciously like romance. The editing created implications far creepier than the original relationship. Other LGBTQ+ characters faced similar treatment. Zoisite and Kunzite, two male villains in a relationship, had Zoisite's gender changed to female in the dub. Fisheye, a male character who cross-dressed, was referred to with female pronouns to avoid gender nonconformity. Transformation sequences were airbrushed to remove body lines, violent scenes were cut, and anything remotely suggesting mature themes vanished. What should have been groundbreaking representation became a cautionary tale of how far networks would go to enforce heteronormativity. If you're shocked by what networks hid from you so far, smash that subscribe button, because the next 4 will completely destroy your childhood memories. Coming in at number 5 is Pokémon's most infamous censorship fail that launched 1,000 memes. In the episode Primeape Goes Bananas, Brock holds up triangular rice balls wrapped in seaweed, traditional Japanese onigiri, and proudly declares, "These donuts are great. Jelly-filled are my favorite." An entire generation of kids stared at their screens confused, wondering why these white triangles with black squares were being called donuts. 4 kids thought American children couldn't handle the concept of rice balls, so they just lied about what was on screen. In later episodes, they tried calling them sandwiches, popcorn balls, cookies, and even onions. The editing became so absurd that in one scene, they digitally replaced the rice balls with a comically oversized sandwich. This wasn't cultural localization. This was cultural erasure disguised as making it relatable. The irony? Kids noticed immediately that something was wrong. They weren't fooled. Beyond food, Pokémon faced other censorship. Episodes featuring guns were banned, James's inflatable chest in a beauty pageant was removed, and an entire episode was pulled internationally after it caused seizures in Japanese viewers. At number 4, we have South Park, and the episodes Comedy Central tried to erase. Episodes 200 and 201 from Season 14 featured the Prophet Muhammad as a character, which sparked death threats against creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Comedy Central initially censored Muhammad's image completely, covering him with a censored box. But that wasn't enough. After broadcast, the episodes were pulled from streaming platforms, removed from DVD releases, and effectively banned from ever airing again. But South Park's censorship history runs deeper. The Season 5 episode Super Best Friends, which showed Muhammad uncensored as part of a superhero team, was also retroactively pulled from circulation. The Cartoon Wars two-parter, which satirized the Danish cartoon controversy, had specific scenes censored. The irony is profound. A show built on pushing boundaries and mocking censorship became one of the most censored programs in animation history. proving that satire about free speech can itself be censored when corporate sponsors get nervous. Number 3 takes us to Tom and Jerry and the controversial character that networks tried to make disappear. Mammy Two Shoes was the African-American housekeeper who appeared in 19 original cartoons from 1940 to 1952. She was based on the offensive Mammy stereotype, heavy-set, speaking in exaggerated dialect, and her face was almost never shown on screen. By the 1960s, MGM knew they had a problem. Their solution? They rotoscoped over Mammy Two Shoes, digitally replacing her with a thin white woman in some versions, and an Irish-accented woman in others. They even replaced original voice actress Lillian Randolph's audio to remove the stereotypical dialect. But the most extreme measure came later. Cartoon Network and Boomerang simply banned all episodes featuring Mammy Two Shoes entirely in the United States. 19 classic cartoons, including award winners, vanished from rotation. Additionally, scenes where Tom accidentally gets covered in coal or shoe polish, creating blackface imagery, were cut completely. These weren't just edits. These were attempts to rewrite animation history, pretending these racist images never existed, rather than confronting them with proper context. Taking the number 2 spot is One Piece, and when 4 kids got their hands on this pirate epic, they turned the suave, chain-smoking chef Sanji into a lollipop-sucking joke. In the original Japanese version, Sanji is constantly seen with a cigarette dangling from his mouth. It's part of his cool, mature character design. But 4 kids couldn't have children seeing smoking, so they digitally replaced every single cigarette with a bright pink lollipop. Imagine a 19-year-old chef in the middle of intense combat situations, dramatic moments, and serious conversations, sucking on candy like a toddler. The internet exploded with memes. Fans were furious. The character of Smoker, whose entire identity revolves around cigars and his smoke-based devil fruit powers, simply had his cigars erased, leaving smoke mysteriously emanating from his mouth with no source. Even more bizarre, guns were recolored to look like toys, blood was removed entirely, and any mention of death was replaced with being sent to another dimension. 4 kids butchered it so badly that the company lost the rights, and Funimation had to salvage what remained of the series' reputation. And finally, at number 1, we have Tiny Toon Adventures and the anti-alcohol PSA that backfired so spectacularly it got banned. The episode One Beer featured Buster, Plucky, and Hampton finding a single beer, drinking it, and going on an exaggerated drunk driving rampage that ends with them driving off a cliff and dying. Yes, dying. The episode was meant as a very special episode warning against underage drinking, but networks realized it was far too dark and traumatic for the show's young audience. Fox removed it from broadcast rotation almost immediately, and it has rarely aired since. The segment's extreme consequences, showing beloved characters actually dying, was deemed too intense, even as a cautionary tale. The episode occasionally resurfaces on DVD collections, but with warnings. The One Beer ban highlighted a paradox in children's television. Trying to teach serious lessons sometimes requires content that's too serious for the intended audience, creating programming that defeats its own purpose. From death becoming another dimension, to gay couples becoming cousins. From cigarettes becoming lollipops to entire episodes vanishing from existence. Censorship in cartoons reveals more about the adults making decisions than the children they claim to protect. These weren't just edits. They were attempts to sanitize, erase, and rewrite what young audiences could see and understand about the world. The original versions exist somewhere, preserved in vaults and on foreign releases, waiting to remind us that cartoons were never as innocent as we remember. Which band scene shocked you the most? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden truths behind your favorite shows.